Here's another way to look at it. I make a deal with my roommate. I say, I'm going to buy a new coffee maker for us, and in exchange, you buy the coffee for the rest of the time that we live here. Who benefits? Unless he moves out next week, I do. Because the $50 coffee maker I bought is nothing compared to the $150 he spent on beans in the first year. Now consider this. How long are BC and Ottawa going to be roommates for? Probably a lot longer than me and my friend I screwed over. And the extent of the disproportion grows and grows over time. So I need to make clear that I'm not hinting at separation. I'm talking about protecting our sovereignty. There's a huge difference between leaving our country behind and protecting ourselves from our federal government, making sure they don't take advantage of us. So how do we go about doing that? If you go to fighthst.com and find out how you can help save your province, you'll be able to sign up and volunteer, collect some signatures for the Citizens Initiative. If you can't volunteer for whatever reason, at least sign the petition. There are more than enough angry citizens out there to stop it from happening. But we need to make sure it gets down on paper. We need to beat our politicians at their own game and make sure the initiative takes off. Former Premier Bill Vander Zalm is leading the fight, so if we've ever had a chance at a citizens initiative succeeding, it's probably going to be with a guy who's played by their rules and won before. Another thing you can do to help is take the local news with a grain of salt. Watch it objectively. They'll tell you that it's unlikely we can change what our government has already decided. Our democratic government. There's a paradox for you right there. Democracy, and we can't change their minds. What you need to remember is that HST will benefit big corporations. And one of those corporations already owns most of the media in this province. So watch it objectively. We laugh at the Americans for watching the sensationalist outlets like CNN and Fox News, and they probably laugh at us for listening to Bill Good. Despite what their political analysts say, the HST can be stopped. There's plenty of HST, anti-HST sentiment in BC. We just need to channel it the right way, which is getting as many volunteers to sign up as possible. Again, the website is fighthst.com. We're here on the 5th of November to show the similarity between British Columbia's need of change and a fictional society's need of change. V for Vendetta showed us that an oppressed government can rise as one and force a corrupt government out. We have the potential to make this HST war end any way we choose. We can do nothing and let it end like high noon, with lonely Sheriff Vander Zalm struggling to fight our battles for us. Or, instead, we can make it end the way V for Vendetta did, short of leveling a landmark. With hundreds of thousands of people speaking out against the HST by signing the Fight HST initiative. The BC Liberal way of handling our complaints is to unplug phones, filter emails, and then tell us we can't succeed. Let's show them they're wrong.
Thank you very much, Jordan. My second speaker today is a concerned citizen and citizen activist. And I'd like to introduce him to you. His name is Brad Slade. Slade is Brad is a Victoria resident, and this is his home territory, and he's really concerned about what's going on with this HST too, and he's here to voice those concerns. Brad?
Thank you. My name is Brad. I live in this city, and I hope you're enjoying our liquid sunshine. I am a labor activist. I should say I was a labor activist. I picked up a lot of skills along the way, and I have decided to put them to use fighting this tax. The HST is just wrong on so many levels, and definitely at the wrong time. I am a victim of the recession. I work part-time. The rest of my time, I fight the HST. It's a good hobby. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I could share with you here, and I'm going to start off with a poll that was done September 18th in Point Grey. And for those who aren't familiar, that is Mr. Campbell's riding. The survey shows 42% of Mr. Campbell's riding would have signed a recall petition that day if it was there. Not quite enough to push him out of office, but darn close. On top of that, they also clearly indicated that about 74% of his riding said that it was the wrong way to do it. The way to do it was not to lower the income taxes, but perhaps to increase them and get the money back that way, rather than riding on the backs of all of the consumers out there. And I'd also like to add on that note that I am not a member of any political party. I don't carry a card for anyone. However, I am willing to come and speak anywhere, anytime against this tax. Mr. Campbell, I hope you're in your office, and I certainly hope you can hear that statistic of 42% of people in your own riding. Now, because I have a little time on my hands being a victim of the recession, I do a lot of digging around on the computer. I'd like to give you some information from the Memorandum of Agreement between the province and the federal government. According to this agreement, and this is just a memorandum, it is not the legislation that's coming, but this is what it will be based on. The province will not be allowed to increase or decrease the tax for 2 years from implementation. So, for example, Dr. Keith Martin, the federal Liberal fellow who's been going around town saying perhaps we can mitigate this, perhaps we can lower the tax, ain't gonna happen. On top of that, there are a few other interesting things in this Memorandum of Agreement, and if any of you folks over here are business owners, this ought to concern them. It will give Mr. Hansen the ability to temporarily deny for a period of up to 5 years a portion up to 100% of your input tax credits that you're supposed to be getting back on this harmonized sales tax. He can do this for up to 5 years if he feels he needs the money. Gee, what do you think is going to happen? Is he going to keep it, or is he going to let you have it back? On top of that, we are locked in, not just for the 2 years with no change, but we are locked in for 5 years with this tax. And to the best of my knowledge, none of the other memorandum of agreements in this country with the other provinces that have adopted this have this clause. We got to pay back the bribe money. No one else does, just us. I think that means that they're a little concerned that perhaps maybe there might be a little resistance to this. Now, you got to bear with me. I have a ton of paper here, and I am flipping through for the high points here. And of course, not being a politician, I am not polished speakers. I tend to go by my notes and wing it as we go. And there's far too much paper here. Now, something else you might like to know, another piece of information. A lot of charities are afraid to come forward. A lot of businesses are afraid to come forward. Businesses have to worry about their bottom line. They may be members of associations, and as a former labor guy, I understand that when you are a part of a group, you have to act collectively. So they're all trying their best to swing a deal for their own groups. Now, one other thing out of this memorandum of agreement relates to that. They are allowed to give exemptions up to 5% of the GST tax base. I couldn't tell you how big the GST tax base is, I don't know. But I can tell you this. If the hotel and restaurant industry were to get their exemptions, that would likely